It pretty much doesn't need to be said that 2020 has been one dumpster fire of a year. And I didn't really think I needed to make this video, but I wanted to do it for the benefit of everyone watching and, to kind of get you guys on a personal level a little bit and just talk about my experience during this year and just everything kind of going on. Now, whether or not it was the pandemic, I think this year would have turned out bad regardless, and we're going to go into a few reasons why, at least personally for me, it would have turned out awful. So, but first we're going to go back about a year. Around this time last year is when the pandemic or the virus itself started first being mentioned that something was going on in China. And I paid attention to it because I was afraid that it was going to spread. I'm not going to lie, to the point where I remember on New Year's Eve, watching the ball drop with champagne in my hand, but in my head was, I really hope this doesn't come to the States. And, within January and February, I was back in the gym fully, as you guys know, because I kind of brag about it. And I was doing things physically that I hadn't been able to do in years. I was keeping up with people I would never be able to keep up with in physical activity. And it was one of those things where I was like, all right, you know what, maybe this will be a good year. And I was proud of myself. I was proud of where I was going. But deep down, I was afraid because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know where we were going to be a day from now, a week from now, and all that, because you were starting to kind of hear about it a little bit more on the news, right? And the more I heard it, the more I was freaking out, because I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit of a hypochondriac. I'm kind of a worrywart when it comes to these type of things, and the more I heard, the more I was just afraid, and it was bothersome, and we're going to kind of fast forward because the cases started hitting New York, New Jersey, and we locked down in New Jersey, I believe, on March 16th. I remember hearing the announcement, and I was kind of shaking it off at first, I think. I was like, all right, they say 2-week quarantine period, 3-week at the most. If we all do this, we'll be fine. And naturally that's not what happened anywhere. But I wasn't taking it like it was gonna be almost like a prison sentence, where I went to the liquor store that night after work because I was off the next day, and the next day was St. Patrick's Day. So I was like, of course, stock up. I'm Irish, get some Guinness. But the liquor store I go to is in a shopping complex, so usually that parking lot's kind of packed. Nothing was there. And I was, at that point, no one was there, and I sat in my car for a good minute just kind of thinking and looking and saying to myself, well, this is kind of getting real. But at the same time, I was like, all right, it's going to be 2-3 weeks. We can get through this. Just got to stay safe, do what they say, and whatnot. And, looking back, that was so wishful thinking. And I honestly was relieved in a sense of, and this is just personally, my birthday is a week after St. Patrick's Day, 7 days, March 24th. And I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do for my birthday this year. I was trying to brainstorm ideas, but nothing was going to stick. And I ended up not having to come up with anything because nothing could happen because the lockdown had hit. And in that sense, it was a sigh of relief. It was a sad birthday, in the sense of not having friends around. I web chatted with a lot of my friends, video chatted, and we did a toast, and that was kind of cool. But, at that point, it was one of those things where I was like, we're just going to suck it up. We'll go out in a couple weeks. Things are going to be fine. And then it just kind of got worse. Now, I wasn't more worried about myself, but I was worried about my family. Now, I live on my own. I moved out a year ago, April 2019, and I thought it was going to be, the best years of my life, not knowing in less than a year we'd be on lockdown. And I think I realized to myself how much I thought I was an adult when I moved out. How much I still really wish my family was living with me. Because it kind of gets lonely. It definitely gets lonely. And, it's one thing to talk to someone on the phone, but not having that face-to-face interaction every day, it can drive you crazy. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. So I was afraid for my parents, my grandparents, my aunt, my uncles. I honestly, we're going to go into why I said this year would have been garbage anyway. So, taking out the pandemic, I lost 4 relatives this year. Only one of them was a COVID 19 death. And if we took that out of account, I would have lost 3 relatives regardless. And I know friends that lost parents this year. I have friends that got sick with either the virus or with other things. And, you know, all of this pretty much would have still happened, I believe. And it would have still made for a pretty trash year. Like 2020 really couldn't have done anything right if it tried. And I know so many of us were going into this year thinking it was going to be a great, awesome year. We were ready to bring back the roaring 20s. We were ready to just make it a great year, like the start of a new decade almost, you know? And boy, did that slap us in the face. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. I refused to leave my house. I was lucky enough that I did my food shopping a week before the lockdown hit, and that's just, you know, because I needed food. And me living alone, I tend to stock my freezer and my fridge up so I don't have to go food shopping every week. And I was fine. You know, I got toilet paper before everyone started hoarding it, which still shame on you guys for doing that. But, you know, it was scary because people were going out there, going food shopping. I was telling my parents, dude, I will risk it. Don't go out there. Stay home. Because I couldn't afford really to have any tragedy in my life. I'm a very, like, I think, emotionally sensitive person, we'll call it, where, you know, the littlest thing, even if someone just, you know, stubs a toe, I'll feel so awful for it. And I think I've always been that way. I've always been really soft, as no matter how hard I try to be, if that makes sense. And also, that's probably what she said. But I'm trying to make this light as we go, as we tell this story, because this might be a little long. It was just, you know, when I finally ended up having to go food shopping, because for a while I was stocked and I was even ordering from Freshly's online, like delivery service, so I didn't have to worry about trying to get chicken. I didn't have to worry about trying to get meat. And I was still like in fitness mode at this time, and I thought, you know, from working from home for the first couple months was like a mini vacation in a weird way, where I didn't have to wake up early. I was home immediately when my shift was over. And after the first couple months, I started to realize how much I need to be around people. All of my jobs were always like public jobs. There was more than 5 people anywhere, you know? And living home, I had always people around. And, you know, even having friends around, and then all my friends, you know, naturally were not going to really communicate with each other because of, well, at least face-to-face communication, because no one really wanted to go anywhere, because you never knew at that point who was infected, right? And that's understandable. But I've realized in that time where how much I need that interaction. You know, like I'm someone who, and you guys can probably tell from my videos, I'm someone who needs like that little bit of personability, someone who I need someone to talk to. So that slowly started eating at me, I think. And if I wasn't crazy beforehand, I probably have slowly started to become crazy. And I deal with depression, anxiety. You guys know that. I've made videos on it. And I think everyone who's dealt with it during this time, it's gotten a whole lot worse. You know, even studies have shown it is. So us anxious people are waking up just anxious. My mind races 24/7 now, and it never used to. From the moment I woke up, and you know, it's weird in that adjusting phase, if that makes sense. But it's also one of the greatest things I think during this time period, and one of the worst things during this time period, is because I don't have people around. I've kind of been forced to head on deal with myself and learn certain things about myself that I really maybe wasn't understanding, coming to terms with, because I was always able to voice my frustrations, voice my stresses, and just kind of bounce them off other people. You know, where if I was stressed out, you'd have someone telling a joke that kind of eases the mood and stuff like that. Like you had that social interaction. and you had that ability to just sit and laugh and have a good time and forget about things. Now, living alone hasn't really allowed me to do that. Like, I now have friends over every so often. I have my parents over because I realize just how much I miss everyone. And, I can be a little bit of an awful friend sometimes because I don't mean to do it, but it seems like when I talk about myself, sometimes it might come off as bragging. And to me, it doesn't, but I could definitely see how it might. So during this time, just everything is going on. And I'm trying to kind of maintain a schedule and trying to, keep focused like if I was still going to the office, wake up every morning, make coffee at this time, make breakfast, actually get dressed, don't sit in your PJs all day, because I noticed on those days that I did, I kind of felt a little more anxious, a little more crazy, and getting dressed and kind of putting myself in that scenario, I guess balances me out a little bit, and I guess it's in the sense of it's kind of bringing back structure, if that makes sense. And if we're talking now from May through September, I lost, I think, 2 more relatives. No, 3. I lost 3 relatives. That's where I lost the majority of them, was from that time period. And I was getting scared because it seemed like, those were the ones that didn't catch the virus and they died from other reasons, unfortunately. And it's unfortunate not that they died from other reasons, but they passed on in general. Where I was like, something's coming for my family. Like, I had that thought where they're not even getting sick like that. They're just almost unexpectedly passing. And that's where I was getting really scared, really anxious. And that's where, like, my really, really bad anxiety started kicking in. And, I was feeling hurt, feeling beat up, feeling sad, like physically and emotionally. And I apologize to all my friends and some of my viewers that might have had to deal with me during this time, whether it was talking to me or, from my videos or, because when I'm in a bad mood, you could tell when I'm off. I think I'm a polar person where you either get like 100% me or you get down in the dumps me. And there's no happy medium. I've been told that my whole life. And I think it's just who I am as a person and just being a very emotional person. So, the summer in itself wasn't awful. That's when I got my floors done and it was nice out. So I was going hiking. I was going for walks. I was trying to get outside again. And I could. For the time being, things were starting to open up. And, the malls were opening. Regular stores were opening again to limited capacity here in New Jersey. And I was also, during this time, that's when my panic attacks really, really started. I was having them for almost no type of reason, aside from, I think, being lonely and being bored. Because I wasn't inherently afraid. Like, I guess, like, deep down I was afraid of everything I mentioned earlier. But I wasn't at a lot of those moments freaking out about stuff. I was a lot of times just chilling, and then something in me would just kind of like flick on, and I would start to kind of feel like sad and frustrated and just kind of work myself up emotionally. And with my mind constantly racing, there was no calming it down until it was ready to calm down. And that's one of those things where it was just tough during that time period. That's where I say God bless my mother, because there's been so many times where she would come over and kind of find motherly ways to bring me back down, like telling me my apartment was dirty or ask me why my laundry wasn't done. And it was stuff that, like, you wouldn't think you would want to hear during the panic attack, but in a weird way it was very smart, because it grounded me, like it was one of those things where I don't know why that worked. I at first would start freaking out that I was getting yelled at while freaking out, and would be like, Mom, what are you doing? Stop. But I guess, my mother, knowing me better than anyone, after a while I would just start laughing at it, because it would ground me to the point where the panic attack would start like just disappearing because I would start laughing and calming down and relaxing. And in a weird way, it was the greatest thing. And I really haven't had any panic attacks since the summer as much. But a lot of it would all tremble or start from me like wanting to do something, not knowing what to do. No one else would want to do something. And I think I would just get bored. The loneliness would kick in. I think my biggest thing right now would be just extreme loneliness, especially now that the holidays coming up. It's so, like, it's crazy, right? It's this year has felt in a weird way like the longest and the shortest year at the same time. And I say that because we're in December, but we've been doing the exact same thing for the last like 8 months. So it's almost like this year was a jail sentence to many of us. And like I was going on living alone, I often now I think feel kind of caged in a little bit because every day I'm within the same atmosphere unless I with the gyms being open now go out and drive and get that fresh air. It's been rough a lot of times. I've been kind of, I wouldn't say in a mania setting mentally at points, but I've just been kind of all over the place. Like, whereas all the professionalism that I thought I had garnered over the years, I've noticed myself starting to react to things very primitively again, as if I was like still a kid, And I think from talking to a lot of people, that seems to be a thing where not being with public so much, a lot of learned abilities are just kind of disappearing, and making the videos is helping me still maintain kind of who I am. One of the other things that would help me when I was freaking out during the panic attacks were to, as cocky as it sounds, throw one of my videos on or throw my music on from years ago to hear my own voice and to kind of just remember, stop panicking, this is you, look how strong you can be, look how confident you can be, there's no reason to freak out right now, breathe, walk around until it would kind of start disappearing. And it's, I know, been rough for a lot of us. Mental illness has become one of the biggest things during this pandemic, if it wasn't the virus in itself. Between just frustration, doubt, so many people being laid off, and just really not knowing what the heck is going on and when this is going to end and when we can go back to living life normally. I've had instances recently where I would watch like a documentary that was filmed 2 years ago or something and start wondering why the people aren't wearing masks when they're outside. It's become one of those things where I've almost like mentally forgotten what normal is because of just how we've had to adapt in this little period of time, and it's really weird in that sense also. But you have to kind of remember, you have to kind of find something, I think, that's going to jog your memory to remembering what life actually is. And I think we're all a little bit going to have a problem adjusting when we can go back to normal as well, because of how this year's kind of morphed us as humans. And one of the reasons I wanted to make this video was, to go out there and tell people that if you have feelings like I'm kind of describing, I don't think it's only you. I thought it was only me kind of going crazy, losing my mind for a while, until I was talking to other friends and they were having the same issues. Now, one of the biggest things that a lot of my friends haven't really understood is why I feel so lonely. But I think minus one or two friends, I'm the one friend that's single. I'm the one friend that still doesn't live at home or live with people. So literally during this time, it's just been me with me, and I've learned, I think, a lot about myself during this time, a lot of things that, make me afraid, a lot of things that I'm afraid of. And I've always been super soft, super emotional, and just super caring. Like I mentioned, any little thing, I think, whether or not it's a big issue or not, if I know it hurts someone, it's gonna bother me. I just care too much, and that's just the heart I was given, and it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. I will, rip my hoodie off my back and throw it at you if I know you're cold, because mentally, I'm the person that I'd rather be the one to suffer than have someone else suffer. And as cheesy as it sounds, right? Like, that's only going to hurt me in the long run, I've been told, but it's just, the heart I was given, the mindset I was given. Um, and, you know, I think as a whole, this year has affected so many of us in so many different ways. Whether it would be to be laid off from your job, whether it was, not knowing how you're going to pay for a bill, or, afraid for your parents like I was, or other relatives, and just being afraid to go outside. Like, I remember when I first started going food shopping again, the store I shopped at, it almost felt like a war zone. You had all the plexiglass up, the barriers, the this way and this way in and out of the aisles. It wasn't the store I was used to shopping at, and I was scared, and I was like, well, what is this? And a lot of the people there know me because I've been there for so long, and it's one of the things where I would sit and just be really freaked out. And I remember the first time I went, I had a hoodie on, I had my mask on, I had a scarf around my face because I didn't want to get infected in any way. I had gloves on. I was legit going in there like I should have just been in a bubble, right? And I think a lot of that with me has dissipated because I've gone food shopping a lot, and I haven't gotten sick, thankfully, yet. And hopefully not ever. And if I did, I was definitely asymptomatic. But, I've gotten injured during this time from, not being as active as I was. So any little activity with not being stretched out, I was feeling it. I've been getting a lot of phantom pains, if that makes sense, where, it's a pain that you feel that's not actually there. And I've just been I feel very on edge and just very, I guess, frustrated during this time. And I think it's because a lot of things I would have done to not be frustrated, whether it be like, hey, let's go hiking, let's go do this. A lot of things I would have normally done to kind of clear my mind, I wasn't able to do, and I'm still not really able to do to the full extent of, getting back to normal, to my routine. So, many of us, we've had to make a lot of adjustments this year, and I want everyone to know that, you're not alone. I know this video is a little long now, and I'm kind of wondering how long it's going to go, because I feel like there's still a lot we need to talk about. There's a lot going on where I think just this year as a whole, even not talking about the virus, there's been a lot of newsworthy events, a lot of hatred going on, a lot of pain going on. And I'm someone who I've always been a unifier. I try to bring people together before they fall apart because, together we move forward. If we're hating on each other for each other's points of views or anything like that, that hate isn't going to move us forward. It's only going to move us backwards. And that's something I've tried to teach my friends. And some of them have seen it that way. Others just tell me I'm stupid, but I'm going to continue to live by that laurel because I've seen it work. It's worked for me. Compromise is the greatest way for us to achieve as a human society. And it's this year, I think, like I said, brought out a lot of primitive traits for a lot of us, a lot of fears, a lot of phobias, a lot of just being afraid to live our lives. And in a sense, we need to be, because we need to be precautious. But in a sense of, I think, mentally, I think it's drained us all because, every day almost feels like a prison sentence because we can't, even if we want to make change, in certain aspects we can't, right? Due to restrictions that are going on, due to just everything, and due to our own safety. And I think, with what I've learned from this year, from the family stuff to my own personal, I guess you could call them chapters that I've had to figure out, the one thing I'm grateful for is the support I've had, and the people that have come into my life, the friends that have come back into my life. The biggest change I was able to make this year was to dye my hair, and I did this to and I've said it before, to just try to wash away the negativity of this year and try to start something fresh, try to just do me in a whole different way. And it's been luckily well received. Now, I needed to find strength in so many different ways. And I remember when the gyms first opened back in September here in New Jersey, I originally said, I was like, I'm going to play this out. We're going to play out the first 2 weeks, see how people get sick, how they don't get sick. But then this was also in one of the heights of my panic attack stage. And I just knew that, and the one thing I kept saying during all my panic attacks was, I just need the gym open. I just need the gym open. And I don't know if it was like mentally a thing where I knew I was doing this or feeling this way out of stress, out of loneliness, and the gym was that way to work it out in a way where, you know, you can only do so much at home. And I needed to be back in that atmosphere where I felt like I was in control again. And the gym allows me to be that person, that strong version of myself, working towards something. Because I'm someone who I always need to be doing something. I need to be working towards a goal. And during a lot of this pandemic, if I wasn't actually working, I was doing a lot of stuff to be busy instead of be better. So video games have always taken me away from all my stress in this world because they legit kind of take you to a whole nother dimension. But at this point, because they were so just blending in with the day of work, dinner, video games, it feels like a second job to this day where I'm just really not getting that same amount of enjoyment that I normally would. And I think that attests to a lot of it just not being that stress relief anymore, because it's one of the few things I'm still able to do within my power, and it's getting boring, you know. And it's one of those things where I just really, really feel that it's one of those things that I hope will pass as things in the world get better. And I know, just going into it, like, it's really odd for me to, I think, talk to people. I tend to talk about myself a lot, as you've noticed through this video, but the thing is, we're all going through our own struggles right now, and I think we all have a different story based on the same event. You know, how we handled it, what affected us, what really happened in our lives. And one of the things I want to bring up, guys, I think mental health right now, as well as physical health, obviously, is a big thing right now in terms of depression, anxiety, being at all-time highs, especially amongst people who have suffered from it. People who never had depression and anxiety, I know, are suffering from it right now because we're all kind of oddly caged in, oddly imprisoned in our own worlds. So I think it's a matter of, you know, being stuck with ourselves, being stuck with our significant others, and just not having the freedom that we normally would. I think we realize all during this time period, we've taken for granted a lot of things that we thought would always be there. In an exaggeration sense, I was saying today to someone that, you know, I remember my mom always telling me to stop playing video games and go play outside. And I was like, I could do that tomorrow. Outside's there. Like, you know, I'm doing something right now. And 2020 in itself has proven that even outside really isn't fully promised. For how everything was locked down, everything was the way it was, where, man, just outside was outside. Like, the best I really got, if I wasn't walking around, like, in my block, was sitting on my deck. And even then, like, my condo is great when I'm not home all the time. And now it almost feels like it's too small, right? I feel like I need to break out of these walls. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I know that's all the frustration of just being home so much and wanting to do so much more. So guys, all I want to say, when we think of this year, I think it was important that we had this little talk. I think it's important for everyone to realize, you know, whatever you're feeling right now, you know, whether it's stress, whether it's frustration, whether it's doubt, you're not alone. We're pretty much all, I think, in some way, shape, or form going through it. I think we all want our lives to go back to normal. And I think, you know, mentally, we're all just exhausted. We're beat up, and we just all want normalcy, right? And, you know, I wish everyone who's going to watch this video stays safe, stays okay. And we can only really push for the future in terms of us getting back to normal. Things I don't think will ever go back to fully how they were because we're more aware of precautionary issues and certain things that might happen where I think a lot of us doubted it when things were first happening, thinking it was not going to be as big as it is. And, the whole world is suffering right now. It's one of those things where I'm not just saying that it was us here in the States. It's the whole world suffered through this in 2020. And that's the crazy part of it was, this year literally affected everyone in a similar way. And I pray for everyone every day, my family, my friends, your family, your friends. I don't want anyone to ever feel heartbreak, feel sorrow, or whatnot. And it's not within me. It's one of those things where I wear my heart on my shoulder like a badge of honor. And doing these videos for me has been liberating. It's been allowing me to stop the racing thoughts. It's almost like a therapy session. And I think, between having to now go to the chiropractor because my back is shot from not moving as much, being back in the gym, to now trying to work out all the kinks that I spent the latter half of 2019, early 2020 to work out, for them to all come back. I started this year wanting to make so many awesome changes for my life, and I was on the right track for it, only for March to hit, and they would be like, nope, going outside, no, gym, no, all the weight you lost, no, welcome back. And it literally shows you how we take for granted the little things. I think we should all be happy with just the little accomplishments every day, as well as the big accomplishments, and just understand how quickly things can be taken away from you when you think you're on a roll. So guys, I want to thank everyone because I wanted to, talk about my year so far, and I'm ready to hear your years. How trash 2020 has been, just how outrageous everything's been, guys. And if you have any stories you're willing to share, definitely leave them below. I'll be sure to comment. Let's talk. If anyone's ever feeling stressed, if anyone's ever feeling doubtful of themselves, if anyone feels like they're not in the right mind, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I will respond. I know, as much as I'm nobody on YouTube, I think there's still that little perception that if someone leaves a comment, the video person is too high on their high horse and they won't respond. But I'm someone who I will respond no matter what, and I promise you that. And I want to thank everyone. I want to, send my love to everyone, that everyone stays safe, especially during this holiday period. And I hope to get back to making my videos. I've been really on and off this year with making the videos, all because I think it's a lot of stress, a lot of just being all over the place mentally. And, my brain has been just so shot at so many different points of this year, just from everything going on. But I want to thank everyone. I want to wish everyone, a great day. And until next time, guys, stay safe. I'll catch you later. See you. Bye.